Welcome to Bad Gear, the show about the world's most hated audio tools. Discussing Moog instruments on this channel isn't easy. The iconic name of the venerable brand and its legendary creator is sacred among synth people for a reason, and it goes without saying that I have nothing but respect for Robert Arthur Moog's legacy. However, given a company history spanning over 7 decades, it doesn't come as a surprise that not every Moog product can have the gravitas of the groundbreaking classics. Today we are going to talk about Little Phatty. This 2006 analog mono synth was one of the last instruments the master himself worked on, and although hiring bodyguards, wearing bulletproof vests and making my computer setup impenetrable to hacker attacks is tiresome, the scaled down engine with its MicroKorg-like interface opens up too many ways of synthesizer blasphemy to ignore. At the first glance, Little Phatty is ticking all the boxes. Slick 0 years executive bathroom design from a time when body shaming was socially acceptable, full-sized keypad adequate for a mono, and a digitally controlled analog engine accessible through a quagmire of squishy rubber button presses and a little too much menu diving for my taste. While its noble ancestor, the revered Minimoog, offered 3 oscillators and noise, Little Phatty's Oscillator section is limited to 2 oscillators. Waveforms are continuously variable though and can be smoothly tweaked from a mellow triangle to paper-thin pulses. However, Oscillator Sync and the basic Modulation Section make it more versatile and allow for noisy FM and unbridled mayhem. Some might argue that Moog synths are all about the filter anyway, and although the classic low-pass ladder filter doesn't disappoint sonically, controlling the entire section with only one knob, 5 buttons, and a bit of menu diving for adjusting filter poles will be a certain deal breaker for many. It's great to have fully recallable filter overload at your fingertips. The 2 envelopes share one hot knobbing ready controller for all their parameters too, which is far from ideal, but the release stage can be turned off globally for the ultimate vintage feel. In addition to the aforementioned oscillator shenanigans, the Modulation Section lets you route a simple yet sufficiently fast LFO, Oscillator 2, and the filter envelope to a small selection of destinations. Little Phatty's main menu diving hub, the interface panel on the left, is not only gateway to 100 surprisingly cheesy presets, but also houses controls for LFO sync and tap, hidden modulation parameters, a simple arpeggiator, MIDI and UI management, and various tuning options. Speaking of which, in spite of the built-in auto-tune functionality, I'm not aware of any internal tuning reference, so I used an external tuner to get the synth in line, and there's a dedicated button for muting the main outs in the process. Once properly warmed up, tuning was solid and the basses, leads and plucks sound very Moogish indeed. Most of the synth's connectivity can be found on a side panel that lets you hook it up to other MIDified gear, a computer and external audio sources, triggers and modulators. According to Wikipedia, there are 4 editions of the synthesizer that mostly differ in appearance and some minor technical details. This is a stage 2, its wheels and sides have fallen victim to sticky plastic syndrome, and prices of the discontinued synth strongly depend on your location and the edition you are searching for. Moog Little Phatty is a modernized version of the classic Moog concept from a time that was profoundly different from now. Did it age well? You have already heard Little Phatty in today's intro tune. That's less spectacular than I had hoped for, although I honestly tried. Time to give it a little more air to breathe in the first jam. Nice, that's what people are getting a Moog for. Simple yet powerful and immediately recognizable sounds. In spite of the distorted sounding overall tone, I would describe it as a more civilized take on the subject when compared to the raw oscillator section of a Model D. Switching between the controller modes is a royal PITA. I wanna know if we can squeeze some less cliché sounds out of the LP. That didn't work out so well. Sure, you can create plenty of sounds that go beyond the classic basses and leads, but I was nevertheless surprised by the tonal limitations. What is more, operating the unreliable buttons and sticky wheels is not exactly satisfying. Better go back to basics with some anti-gravity, upsidasium, retro sci-fi, psychedelic soul, space funk! There are several reasons to buy a real Moog synthesizer. Classic tones, intuitive workflow, and last but certainly not least, owning a timeless piece of gear with a reliable resale value. Although Little Phatty is capable of producing sound that would make its creator proud, the UI, build quality and limited synth engine can be frustrating, and it wouldn't be my first choice when it comes to a high-end mono for an intergenerational synth collection or actual music production. I understand that for many of you, putting Moog instruments on this show is completely off limits, so I wanna make a proposition. For every crappy Casio or Porter sound from the 80s, I am allowed to put another Moog through the ringer. Thanks for watching and see you next time! Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Feel free to like, subscribe, become a patron and leave a comment what other kind of gear you would like to see and hear on the show.